If you are self-employed, or you're starting a small business, or just starting any type of business, an LLC, a limited liability company, might make sense. Let's go through 3 pros and 3 cons of setting up an LLC, and we'll see if that makes sense for you. Pro number 1, setting up an LLC is pretty easy. First thing you gotta do is come up with a name for your LLC. Most states, you can just go to your state website, look for the articles of organization, fill those out, pay the fee to set up an LLC. In a couple weeks, you can have that limited liability company set up and ready to go. One caveat is when you're setting up your LLC, if you have multiple members, the strength of that LLC is going to be in the operating agreement of the LLC. So you want to have a good attorney look that over and draft that operating agreement for you. Pro number 2, LLCs are flexible, meaning you can have as many owners, aka members of the LLC, as you want, in contrast to an S-corporation where you are limited to 100 shareholders. An LLC, you can have 1 million owners, you can have 1 owner, you can have 50 owners. You have that flexibility. Also great with the flexibility of an LLC is compensation. I'm going to use the S-corporation example again, where an S-corporation, when you pay distributions out, it's got to be pro-rata to ownership. LLCs, you can divvy up the profits however you want. You want to pay one shareholder 99% of the profits, that's okay. You want to pay another shareholder 1% of the profits, that's okay. As long as the members agree on how they're going to pay out the profits, they can be distributed however they want. Pro number 3, LLCs are pass-through entities, meaning they do not pay federal income tax. That tax is passed down to the owners via a K-1 that they then report on their 1040. Now, if you're a single member LLC, you can just file that LLC's results on a Schedule C, just like you're self-employed. That does give you the benefit of certain tax deductions that are available to pass-through entities like Section 199A. Assuming that you meet the qualifications, I'm not going to go through the details here, you can deduct 20% of your profits that are on your 1040. Another tax deduction, depending on what state you live in, is you might qualify for the SALT, the state and local tax deduction, which gives you the ability to deduct more than $10,000 of your state and local taxes if you have your pass-through entity, your LLC, pay your state taxes on your behalf. I have a whole video on that is down in the description. Con number 1, LLCs, their net income is subject to payroll taxes. The IRS views any income from a pass-through LLC as self-employed income, and self-employed income is subject to Medicare and Social Security taxes. That is a big downside to an LLC, because if you're an S-corporation or a C-corporation, any sort of distributions or dividends are not subject to payroll taxes. Regarding payroll taxes, I've got a couple videos I will link in the description if you want to learn a little bit more about payroll taxes, Medicare, and Social Security. Con number 2, selling membership or ownership in a LLC, if you have multiple members, can be very challenging. You even have states that dissolve your LLC if you sell or transfer a portion of the ownership, and then effectively you have to start a brand new LLC. That can be a big con and a disadvantage. You're not issuing shares like a corporation where you can just buy and sell those shares. A big consideration when you're setting up an LLC, especially if you have multiple members, if you think a member is going to sell in the near term, or you think there's going to be a transfer in the near term, you might want to think twice about an LLC. It just gets challenging trying to exchange units of the LLC. It might make sense to do a different corporate structure. So that could be a big con for an LLC. So con number 3 is actually just a combination of 1 and 2. If you're trying to raise money for the business that you're trying to start, an LLC poses a great challenge, because a lot of times investors do not want to have that membership units because of number 2. It's hard to sell your membership units when you want to get out. And then also a lot of times investors don't like the pass-through income. They much rather invest in a C corporation where they own stock and they don't have to worry about getting that annual pass-through income coming to them. So raising money in an LLC can be a big con. Okay, that was 3 pros, 3 cons related to limited liability companies, LLCs. If you think that's the right business entity for you, reach out to a good attorney or a good CPA before you set that up just to get a little bit of advice, especially if you have multiple members that you're setting up an LLC. You definitely want to get your operating agreement tied down tight before you go into business with multiple people. All right, people, have a good rest of the day. Take care. Goodbye.